Good morning. I'd like to call the September 19th Community Services Committee meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Seroy,
Present.
Ms. Weber, Mr. Stauffenberg, Mr. Vickery, Mr. Tholen, Ms. Polk, Mr. Snipes, Mr. Hildebrand, Mr. Einfeld, Ms. Evans, Mr. Payton, Ms. Peters, Ms. Dunbar, Ms. Parker, Mr. Wheeler, Mr. Lear. We have a quorum.
Do I have any public comment? Seeing no public, I assume I have no public comment. So I'd like a motion to approve the August 15th. Mr. Payton, Mrs. Dunbar with a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Julie just walked in. Yes. Okay.
She asked to go first.
Okay. All right. I'd like to introduce Animal Control, Julie Boudreau, and I need a motion to approve her monthly report. Mrs. Evans and Mrs. Parker with a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Morning. I'm sorry, I won't breathe on that too much.
It sounds like you have a little raspy.
I thank my husband for that.
Okay. Thank you.
I only have my report this morning. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to try to answer.
Any questions, Mrs. Boudreau? Boy, that's a great day. Have a great day, Julie. Seeing none.
Just wanted to briefly say we were invited with the fire department last Saturday for a Passport to Safety Day. We participated there at the library parking lot. It's a really good day. We had a nice turnout, a lot of engaging young people, and adults alike learned a few things. And I think I can, if I'm saying that right, the regional, they were really impressed with our presentation and invited us to join them in February at Olivet.
Oh.
So we were really pleased about that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Off to court. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Mrs. Gadbois from the Recorder's Office. I have a motion to approve her monthly report. Mrs. Dunbar, Mr. Stauffenberg, the second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Morning.
Morning. So we have some exciting things. The governor signed our legislation into law before the deadline, which allows us, and I think it's before you, am I correct?
It's the last page.
Okay. So there's some processes and steps that need to be taken before it can officially happen. According to the legislation, it's being noticed before you today, my committee. It'll go to the county board next month. It'll be on public notice for 30 days. My office is ready to start that process today. And then, according to the way the bill reads, then it's enacted 60 days after you approve the resolution. If you're going to be analytically, statistically correct, it would be December 11th. But in order to really enact this properly and not have a lot of confusion with when do you charge it, when do you don't, we'll be enacting it January 1st of 2018. So you'll see that schedule in the back. This reflects the cost study that was done and then refreshed November of 2016. The new law, the new statute, allows a cost study that's done within the last 3 years, and then an analysis done based on page counts and different doc types. So that's how we arrived at this number. And based on just a standard document of an average of 15,000 documents a year, which we'd love to see more, we're looking at about a $105,000 increase into the general fund. So we just need a lot of recordings. Everybody buy a house or land or something. No. So we're pretty excited and pretty positive about this. We've already kind of started talking with some of our regular customers that have been coming in, and they're pretty excited too because there's no more counting pages for them. It's a flat fee. You come in with your whatever recording, it's $57. It'll be easier for them because most rejections in my office are because they didn't send the right amount of money. So there's that delay in getting the document recorded because of that. So we still have a lot of work to do on our end. We still have to count those pages. We are still accountable for those pages when we're scanning them in and creating history when we're making it our repository. So our work isn't going to change. It's going to just be easier for the title companies, the realtors, the attorneys, and whoever is recording their documents. So you'll see that these are all based on flat fees or predictable fees as the legislation approves. Any questions on that? We're very excited. This was a lot of work, and this was a lot of collaborative effort with the Realtors Association, the title industry, the banking industry, and we've been doing this for about 2 years now. So we're pretty excited that this has finally come to fruition. Yes.
Thank you, Chairman.
There you
Thank
go.
you, Chairman. I don't have a question. I just, as a realtor, I know how hard you guys work just in general, and I commend your office on having the patience to work through this process and then moving forward. And the January 1st is a good start date.
I think so. And just so you know, nationally, other states are doing a whole state flat fee where their legislature is making the fee decision for them. So Illinois, we're kind of breaking the glass ceiling per se, and we're showing them that we can pass legislation and do this a county by county basis and make it conform to the constituents of the county. So.
Very good. We're excited about it.
Yeah, we are too. The other thing is, oh, I'm sorry. Go
Do we
ahead.
need a motion to put it on display, or how does that work?
I'm getting a nod in the back. Yes.
Yeah, we need a
So
motion.
moved.
Okay. Mr. Wheeler and Mrs. Dunbar with a second. All in favor of putting our rates on display starting today? What do we got? Do we have a roll call vote? Because we're receiving money. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
The second thing I wanted to share with you, and some of you might have been lucky enough to get your assessment notice in the mail. I had a great opportunity to work with Eric in the assessor's office to do an insert. So many of you seen this. It's been awesome. I was receiving messages over the weekend and text messages. Our office was very, very busy with both people in person and over the phone. Partially because of the little Equifax issue that was going on. People were scared this might have been a scam. It is not a scam. It's and because the 800 number is on here, my vendor who manages the property fraud alert for me thought it would be easier to have all the calls go directly to them. So we got a lot of calls saying, why isn't your phone number on there? So I'll be probably putting a press release out just to help people understand this is legitimate. This is for your protection. It's a free service. We do not sell your information. And it's very simple. I know many of you in here have already signed up. Property Fraud Alert is a free service through my office that anytime something is recorded in your name, you'll get a notification either by email or a voice message.
Telephone call. They called me.
So, and it's a good thing because people who have a lot of property sometimes, know they have it, but if all of a sudden something is out of their portfolio because it was transferred maybe illegally, because there are people out there that do that. This is a faster notification to you that there's been a transfer done in the recorder's office. You may have known you refinanced or transferred property, or if you didn't, you're going to find out what happened. And it does happen. It's happened in Kankakee County. So it's just it's a free measure of protection. Just one more tool in your toolbox to keep you safe.
It is a great service. They've notified me when I refinance,
Yes.
so I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of neat." They call you right up. Hey, did you do something? Yeah, I did. Okay, thank you very much.
So
Mr. Vickery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Lori, this transfer from Centru to Midland,
yes.
okay. Is that all going through your office too?
Well, there'll be some documentation. There'll be assignments or changing of ownership of mortgages and stuff like that. Not quite as quickly as everything else has been going on for them personally, for people who have bank accounts with them. But eventually it'll get caught up. And so we'll see a little spike in assignments.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good question.
Any other questions for Mrs. Gadbois? We did her monthly report when she was up here in the podium. Seeing none, thank you, Lori.
Thank you. Everyone have a great day.
You too. Next on the agenda is the assessor, Mr. Eric Blair. Could I have a motion to approve his monthly report, Mrs. Peters and Mr. Vickery, with a second? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Yep. Here you go, Eric. Should we mention it while he's up here? Good morning. You need a hand?
I think I can, yeah, I've got it here. Okay. Good morning, folks.
Morning.
We had a pretty busy month in the assessment office, and I just wanted to go over some things that we have completed and then what's coming up here. This month was pretty gratifying for me as I look at that list, because in the last couple of months it seemed like we had more things that were pending than I was actually able to tell you that we completed, and it kind of flipped this month, and there's quite a bit that's been completed. So we did get through the supervisor of assessments level, which is a chance for myself to make any changes to values as appropriate, such as wind turbine valuation, things like that. We got those things entered into the system, and then I completed equalization very, very quickly to try to make sure that we stay on target with the dates that I was sort of predicting there all year long, that I'd like to publish second Tuesday of September, and we did that for the third year in a row, so that was a really big thing for us. Then we moved on to, of course, like I just said, publication and notification of assessments, and I just want to take a moment to thank my staff for all the hard work that they did, because as we were preparing to publish and we were printing the notices, I had sort of an untimely death in the family, and I was gone for a week, and they stepped up really big and took care of things while I was gone. So they deserve a lot of credit there. Along with that, too, I wanted to extend a thank you to the county auditor, Jake Lee, and his employee, Becky Draper. I approached Jake about putting the intelligent mail barcode on our assessment change notices one last time, as we still had the program from NeoPost, and they were willing to go ahead and work through that with me so that we could get the best rate possible on the postage. So that was a big help from the auditor's office, and that was a good thing. And as Lori mentioned too, when the assessment change notices went out, there was a small insert there about the fraud protection. It's a good thing for the public to know about. So everything went smoothly there. We did use a vendor to fold and stuff the notices and get them in the mail for us. Had no real hiccups there. Everything went out right along with the publication that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 12th, 13th, and 14th of September. So we were good. The things that we're waiting on right now, I'm waiting for the Department of Revenue to issue our tentative equalization factor. I did submit all of the preambles and things from the newspaper as they requested, and once I did that, They acknowledged receipt of those things, and I actually answered a couple of questions yesterday. So I think we're moving along in the right direction there, and everything should be fine. I anticipate really no problems from our tentative level. I think we're right on target for 33 1/3 or something very, very close to that, like we are every year. And then, of course, along with that, we're just waiting for the volume of appeals that we're going to take at the Board of Review level, and we'll work our way through that, hopefully in anticipation of closing out of our Board of Review by the end of the year for the 3rd straight year again. Again, that's sort of pending the volume of appeals, though. So with that, I'll open the floor for any questions.
Questions? Mr. Lear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was talking to a senior at a breakfast meeting this morning, and he's on senior freeze, and I guess I need to have a little review there because he was complaining that his assessment went up. Could you explain the senior freeze as related to assessments?
Absolutely. Great question, but it also jogged my memory on one other thing. Chairman Lear did, Vice Chairman Lear did alert me to the idea that there was some legislation out there. I was aware it was out there, but I wasn't sure if it was going to get signed. It did get signed. Starting next year, the threshold for the freeze is $65,000 of income, not $55,000. So on January 1, we'll have, the seniors will have a little bit of a higher threshold on their income. To answer your question about the difference between an assessment and how the freeze affects it, assessors do value property without any thought to exemptions on the property. So they value it irrespective of the exemptions. Exemptions are granted later. So the assessor is going to continue to assess the property at its, hopefully at its fair cash value, and then that senior freeze exemption is a flexible amount. What it does is it looks at the base year's value versus the current day's value, and the exemption is the amount of the difference between the base and the current year. So as the assessment goes up, that's actually the point of the freeze as it started in 1993, was to stabilize the bill. We certainly would never freeze the rate, so your bill could change as a senior because of the rate. But if you qualify for the freeze, as your value continues to climb, you're only paying on that frozen amount. So they are notified each year as their value changes, but that doesn't mean that that's their taxable amount. The other important thing to remember about the freeze is if your current value drops below the base year, you are given credit for the lowest assessment possible. So you are not frozen at a higher value than your current value if your current value is lower.
Does that answer your question, Steve? Thank you. Mr. Snipes.
I still have to get I have not gotten my assessment in the mail for the last 2 years. I don't know where it's going, but I haven't gotten it. But my question is, for the seniors, do they have to apply every year for that senior freeze? Because a lot of times I think they're forgetting. And if they don't, it's not something that just is automatic, is to my understanding.
Sure. Actually, I think there's two parts to your question there. Number one, you would only receive an assessment change notice if the assessor made a change to your value. If he did not make a change to the value, then you wouldn't receive that notice unless it is your quad year or general assessment year, which happens every 4 years. And I believe you're in Kankakee Township, sir? Kankakee Township's assessments, the general assessment year will be next year, so everyone in Kankakee Township will receive a notice whether their value changed or not. But in those off years, those other 3 years, you'd only get a notice if your value actually changed due to something other than just my equalization at my equalization level. As far as the senior freeze goes, you are correct. It does need to be reapplied for every year because it is income based, and we do have to take a look at that income and verify that they do qualify. If they do forget and the bill comes out in the following spring and it looks like it took a big jump or something like that, the statute requires us then to go ahead and do a certificate of error if they come in and file for the freeze after the fact. so we can still correct the bill and make sure that the senior gets benefit of that freeze, even if they forgot during the calendar year that they were intended to apply. So
Thanks for enlightening me, because I was just thinking I was left out. I look so forward to
You're gonna get it next year.
tax bill.
You're gonna get it next year. he might get the senior freeze. I doubt it, though. Any other questions for Mr. Blair? Okay, I'm going to jump ahead to new business because something came about from, and it's in your pack. There's a letter in your packet, and while we got Eric up in the front here, I just would like to recognize that Gary Twist, Chief County Assessment Officer from Tazewell County Supervisors, sent me and Mr. Wheeler a letter, and I'm going to read the letter into the record. And I want to take this opportunity to congratulate and commend Kankakee County on your selection of Eric Blair as your Supervisor of Assessments, effective August 11th, 2015. In the last 2 years, Eric has become one of our rising stars in the assessment field across Illinois. His contributions to the executive board of the Chief County Assessors Organization and other committees sponsored by the Illinois Department of Revenue have been positive and refreshing. I have also witnessed this firsthand, his pursuit of additional knowledge and experience gleaned from many to provide the best possible decisions and implementations of policy for Kankakee County. In this time of financial uncertainty for public bodies, the local real estate tax system has provided stability to many levy bodies which depend upon this revenue stream. This only amplifies the importance of having a chief county assessment officer who can navigate the property tax cycle with professionalism and a high degree of knowledge. You have such an individual in Eric Blair. On behalf of my own office and the organization I'm a part of, I wanted to express my positive acknowledgement of his county official appointment. He is truly one of the most up-and-coming leaders in this field within the state of Illinois. That I wanted to bring to the committee. Eric, it's nice. We get to see it on a daily basis, but it's nice that some of your peers in your own field see the same thing that we see. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate the acknowledgement, but I also would like to say that Gary Twist has been a really great confidant for me as I try to, administer things a little bit tighter here than we have maybe in the past, and do a little bit better job. So those words coming from him meant a lot to me as well. So thank you to this committee and the entire board for giving me the opportunity to lead the department. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr.
There
Wood.
is one stipulation for this.
Wait.
That this is not to ever be attached to a resume.
Okay, we can. So moved. So moved.
So moved. Somehow I don't really think I need to be sending out resumes anymore. So thanks a lot, folks.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice day.
Next on the agenda, the county clerk, Bruce Clark. Can I entertain a motion for his monthly report? Mrs. Peters, Mrs. Dunbar with a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. They're tag team. Dan and Bruce are up here. Good morning.
I've got the right one.
Okay. Feeling, well, I'm getting pressured up here. Morning, Bruce. Dan. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Yeah, she does. She's got it on. I need to put this over here.
And no questions on the monthly report?
Any questions on the monthly report for Mr. Clark?
For the last few months, and I know in our comprehensive report, we indicated that we were in the process of putting county board proceedings, the county board resolutions, on a search engine. And we have successfully completed that. And here to show some of the benefits and some of the transparency is Dan's going to walk you through how we now can search county board records. We put records from 1979 to current. And Dan will explain a unique way that he did, it was able to accomplish this. Dan?
Good morning, everybody. Bruce said current, and I got to admit that we don't have August on there yet. However, we were in the process of microfilming our county board documents for the past 30-some years, and the company that we worked with provided us the ability to have digitized images of those for, in essence, about 75 to 80 cents per month. It's a great deal. So what we can do with those images is that we put them on our website. So this is now publicly accessible. We're doing a soft rollout of it, so I guess it's a little bit harder now. But if you were going to look for county board documents for a particular month, it's on our website. Everybody's got this as their homepage on their computer, right? KankakeeCountyClerk.com.
Only you, Dan.
Sad, isn't it? Okay. So under county information, if you go to county board documents, it gives you some basic search information or instructions on how to easily find something that you're looking for. It does use the Google engine for its searches. But if you knew what the minute or month was, you can do a drop down and select something here. So 2004. Scroll down, and you can see for any given month, you could select the board proceedings. But maybe I don't know this. And in the burning question, let's say for me today, when did Todd Seroy get appointed to the county board? I'm sure it's all on your mind too.
All right, here we go.
So if we did search for...
When you Google search my name, sometimes the good stuff gets
Search for Todd Seroy, and you'll see all the matches.
That's cool.
So on here
Dan,
we are.
Does it break it down to meeting?
It does have, when you scan the individual, go to the individual months, it has every month broken out separately.
Okay.
So it's the entire monthly packet, the agenda, the minutes, the resolutions for that month. So you'll see here, April 2012, there's the minutes, or the agenda, the roll call, the minutes.
That's a great
And
tool.
you'll see on the minutes there, Mr. Tripp made the motion to accept the appointment of Mr. Seroy to County Board 3. Mr. Hess seconded the motion. And with a roll call of 25-0. So,
Poor guy.
okay. So, pardon?
Recall.
No. So we do have all of the months from, I believe, December of 79 to July of 2017. Actually, after we leave here, I'll be uploading August on there. The total cost for this to the general fund, like I said, it was 75 to 80 cents for each document. Our web designer put the Google engine on there for under $100. So
Pretty remarkable. Actually, this came out of the Vital Records Fund, so there was no cost to the general fund, but the cost is just phenomenal that Dan worked with our existing website, with Google, with uploading the equipment for pennies. And there were 94,563 images that were uploaded over a period of 560 some months. Pretty remarkable.
It's great integration.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Was it 75 cents per document per year to host it, or was it just 75 cents to upload? So ongoing, it would just be 75 cents.
That 75 cents was the cost for the company that was doing the microfilming for us to create that digital image. Going forward, we already have PDF copies of the agenda, the minutes, the resolution, so there won't be any ongoing costs other than our normal website hosting fees.
Sure. Does this satisfy OMA requirements for posting? Or do we still have to maintain the dual system with the county? Because we put the same information out there, except for like the roll call vote.
Yeah.
But we have the minutes, and I'm wondering, is that a redundant system now?
Well, no, I think what this does is this is an archive system that allows us to go back, because we get a lot, this is a dual purpose. This gets a lot of, we get a lot of requests to search. And as you recall, we had an old PaperVision, PaperFlow system that was pretty archaic. It was slow to search. So if the state's attorney wanted to look at, or the planning department wanted to find a record, they had to send a request to Felicia. Or if you wanted to find a record, you had to send a request to Felicia. A couple of days would go by as time permits. So what this allows you to do is go back in time and pull up those resolutions that you need. Doesn't mean that we can't continue to do searches. We will do those searches, but it just allows you to search.
Presence. We have an online with all of these documents except for the roll call right now. We post those as well after the meetings, but we don't. And we have a search of those as well. So it's I'm not saying this isn't a value. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But do we need to keep doing that going forward?
If this office
If
is
this
doing
you're already
Right.
doing that,
Yeah.
that would really
Save that.
It would
Yeah.
save that effort on our part. And
Yeah.
it seems like the Boolean search is much better than what we have.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
much more specific.
Yeah,
But
well-
maybe, and again, we'll talk about this.
Sure.
offline,
Yeah.
but
This is intended to be an archivable record. So, and it what we did was, we took a spin-off of the microfilm that, allowed it to be pretty inexpensive. So, yeah, I mean, it's up to you.
we can host video, for that part about it, and then all the other stuff could be here. We just link to it. 'Cause why be redundant? I mean, we'll
Right.
talk.
Sure.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
This looks like a great search.
Yeah,
Mr. Snipes.
Two things. Can I go back to January of 1991?
No, we're not going to type your name in there, Mr.
Yeah, yes, but you certainly could on your own time.
Yeah, so it'll pick it up. My question is, if you're on the county webpage, is there a possibility to just link it to so all they have to do is hit the button and go there, and then I think that would satisfy the only way. I don't think that it would is if it's not current. That's the only caveat I believe that would be there, because it's more archaic. Archive. I don't know if it's
I can't upload August's until September. You approve everything in September. So once we get that approval at the full county board meeting for each month, I can upload the previous month's within a matter of minutes once I get those files.
Yeah, it's more of an archive system. A lot of times, too, attachments or exhibits to resolutions come in late because they need signatures. So it could be a particular lengthy period of time before we can post that, and that may, affect the OMA. But
and like a contracts that are associated with the resolutions would be part of this
Right.
system as well, which is a great value.
yeah, I think the auditor had asked for that too. So hopefully this meets a bunch of purposes. So.
Great work. Great work. Any other questions? Mrs. Dunbar.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a random question. Why 1979?
Why
It just picked up. We just picked up some microfilming. Records were
okay.
microfilmed prior to
Okay,
that.
thanks.
Yeah.
Just wondered.
At some point in time, you can, go back and hopefully put the whole system on there. But what we do with microfilm is we keep those records off-site, even though the archives in Springfield is filled up. We've still worked out an arrangement to keep an off-site storage of the records, because those are permanent records. And we have them going back to 1853, some of the original records. As a matter of fact, when the ADA study of the courthouse was done, I know the state's attorney did searches on those original records of the creation of the courthouse. So it's a big, real value, I think, for the county.
Any other questions, Clerk? Seeing none, thank you, guys. It's a great tool, Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
Just
hard work.
a couple of other things. The September is Passport Awareness Month. So if, and this year's theme is the U.S. passport is a great form of ID. We've had a lot of questions about do I need a passport now to travel domestically? And in states or in individuals that do not have the current driver's license that complies with the Real ID Act, yes, you will need a passport book to travel domestically. I've got my new driver's license. I don't know about if you've got one in the mail or not, but the effective date, Illinois was allowed an extension from October of this year to January 22nd. You have until to get the new ID, or if you want to travel domestically with the passport card. They do have those wallet size cards, and the cost is a lot less than a regular ID, a regular passport. In terms of numbers issued, we are, as of today, we issued 761 passports for the year. That's right on track to equal or exceed what we did last year. Looking back to 2014, we did 646 passports. In 2015, we jumped up to 873. In 2016, we did over 1,000 passports. So the passport business is not shrinking. It's certainly, keeping us busy in the county clerk's office. A couple of other quick things in terms of legislation that has passed. You may have heard automatic voter registration passed. So Dan will be really busy with processing registrations through different agencies. And we're still waiting on regulation from the Department of Public Health on issuing birth certificates to homeless individuals without charge cost. So.
Did you want to touch base real quick on the grace period for nursing home?
Sure, yeah, if you want to mention that,
Sure.
because there's a lot of new legislation that we're going to talk about.
Some other legislation that passed allows now for grace period registration at nursing homes. Previously, what we had to do, and we usually for each election get about 4 to 6 nursing homes that participate. We do our nursing home votings the Friday, Saturday. State legislation allows us to do it on Sunday as well. But to go to those nursing homes and physically bring a couple judges there and vote the people that reside there, we usually ask that they let us know how many people are going to be participating in the process. With this new legislation, though, if somebody is there, we will have the ability to provide them the time to register and vote at that same time. So they would have the same rights basically as anybody else.
They go for the development of disabled.
If they're registered with the state, yes.
So like Shapiro can vote.
The challenge it creates for us is that normally we know exactly how many ballots to send out there. So if we've got 50 participants, we can send out 55 ballots. But with the grace period now, we may have to accommodate for an additional 25 or so ballots. So it's just an inventory issue, really.
Have they mandated the before your 18th birthday you can vote if your birthday is going to be within before the election or whatever?
That legislation's been in place for a while. If you are going to be 18 before the general election or on or before the general election, you are allowed to participate in the primary. So that's been in place for at least 2 years.
Any other questions?
Mr. Vickery.
Absentee ballot times for the
Primary?
primary.
40 days before the primary election is the first day to make application or to vote. If you're looking, I'm doing mental calendar work in my head right now, so that I believe puts it right around February 8th. Don't hold me to that, though.
Yeah, 40 days before.
40 days.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you. Do I have any old business to come before the committee? Any old business? Okay, moving on to new business. We've covered the letter of commendation. I would like to make the committee aware that the Kankakee County Animal Welfare Advisory Committee will be meeting Tuesday, September 26th at 10 a.m. following executive committee here in this room. Do we have any updates, Mrs. Parker, Mrs. Dunbar? Do we have any updates from that committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we do. Chairman Wheeler and I met last week to put together an agenda for the first meeting, and there will be we're going to be setting our foundation and hopefully our outcomes and goals for the year, as well as our meeting dates. We may have to change those dates to accommodate a few of the members that cannot attend, but I think we're set and we're ready to go.
All right.
Yes.
That's great news. That's great news. Well deserved. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Parker. Miss Dunbar, thank you. Thank you. Do I have anything else to come before the committee? Saying nothing, can I get a motion to adjourn? Mrs. Peters and Mrs. Dunbar. Miss Dunbar. Sorry, you're gonna hit me. I know.